Hey, this is Mark Moore, aka Tuxedo Mark, at various places on the internet. It's 12:43 p.m. according to a computer clock on Wednesday, October 22nd, 2014. And I just want to give a bit of an update on the Castlevania fan film, Castlevania Dark Knight Prelude. Okay, the first draft isn't quite done yet. I've got like 3 scenes left to write, but what I wanted to talk about is some of the difficulties that I have in trying to adapt the content of the game and the instruction manuals, and incorporate all that stuff into the into screenplay. And I know I've discussed some of this before, but specifically, I've noticed a lot of things that I've never really thought about before. Issues that are arising when I'm trying to interpret what's in the manual and stuff like that, and in the game, and put into the screenplay. I had requested on the Castlevania Dungeon forums for someone to translate the Japanese in-game text, and he or she basically said it's the same as in the US version. So, okay. That means all of the endearing type of dialogue between Sonia and Alucard is in there in the Japanese version, so I've got to deal with it somehow. I gotta give it a legit reason for why they're so close. Another thing that I hadn't considered, in the storyline, in the Japanese storyline, it mentions that the wheels of fate slowly began to turn one night when Sonia met the enigmatic Alucard, who was searching for the father that deserted him. Advances, but then tragedy suddenly struck. Her mansion was attacked by Dracula's underlings, and returning to the town, she discovered her grandfather, barely clinging to life, and he said, "Now's the time to make use of your powers." And remembering his words, she stands up and she faces toward the demon castle. So, on first glance, what you would think, what I certainly thought, was Sonia meets Alucard on the very night that her mansion's attacked, and upon meeting Alucard, she goes home, she discovers her mansion's been attacked, she discovers her grandfather, nearly dead. He tells her now is the time, and so she takes up the whip and she goes to the castle to beat Dracula. That's the logical conclusion that I came to, especially since it's specifically mentioned in the manual storyline that she meets Alucard one night, and the game takes place at night. So, that's what I thought. I mean, that's the first impression that you get. But, and this would certainly leave no room for, Sonia and Alucard to conceive a child together. However, someone pointed out that there's no specific connection between Sonia meeting Alucard one night and tragedy suddenly striking and Sonia returning to her town. So, it doesn't say specifically that all occurs on one night. So the alternate interpretation is Sonia meets Alucard one night, he's searching for the father that deserted him, and then at some point later on, perhaps not connected to that event, Sonia's mansion is suddenly struck by Dracula's underlings, and she returns home from wherever she was. Apparently she was out of town, and then she discovers that the mansion's been attacked. She discovers her grandfather. She takes up the whip and she goes to the castle. This alternate interpretation certainly would allow for Sonia and Alucard to develop a romantic relationship over time. It's very fuzzy, and the whole thing about the wheels of fate slowly beginning to turn one night would seem to reinforce the idea that this was a slow process. However, this idea of Sonia and Alucard spending an unspecified longer amount of time together brings up some problems. This is another issue that I discovered, and I posted a question regarding it, and so far no one's replied to it. But here's the thing: does Sonia know Alucard is Dracula's son prior to the events of the game? In other words, when they meet, when they're together in the storyline of the instruction manual before the game starts, did he at any point let her know that Dracula is his father? Here's why I'm asking this. In the dialogue, in the conversation that they have in the game, Alucard says stuff like, "I have come to confront the lord of this castle," and he says stuff like, "My father, Count Dracula," and stuff like that. Also, Sonia had asked why he was here. Okay, not really. What happened was he asks her, "What are you doing here?" And she said, "I could ask you the same thing." So, if he had told her earlier that he was Dracula's son and he was searching for his father, she should not have been surprised to find Dracula's son in Dracula's castle. So I'm wondering, because as I have it in the screenplay right now, he tells her that he's looking for his father, and he mentions that his father is Count Dracula. However, I gotta somehow have a reason for her to be surprised to find Alucard in the castle later on. Because in my screenplay, she even, she tells him where to find Count Dracula. He's in the scary looking castle over there. I thought it was kind of a humorous moment. But, don't know if I can have that. I might have to drop it. And this is the reason why I think there's a problem with Sonia and Alucard spending any lengthy amount of time together before the game. Because surely this would have come up. I don't want them to be spending a whole bunch of time together, talking, being romantic with each other, all the while Alucard is being evasive about his lineage. I would find that incredibly annoying, and I think viewers would too. So if I don't get any kind of response from the fandom regarding this question of how much that Alucard lets Sonia know before the game, then I think I'm going to drop the idea that that Alucard is telling Sonia that Dracula is his father. I might have him still say that he's searching for his father that abandoned him, but I probably won't have him say any more than that. And so then obviously Sonia wouldn't be able to point out where Dracula is. So that's an issue. Another issue is an issue in Sonia's bio where it basically says that she learned at a young age of her ability to sense the presence of beings physical and spiritual that can't be seen by ordinary humans. I've been trying to find a way how to interpret that, because it doesn't seem to be anything that's present in the game itself. And I asked the question on the forum, and the basic idea I guess that I've come up with is Sonia has some hyper sense where she can sense a physical being approaching that might not be seen by people quite as fast, and she could also see or sense spiritual beings such as, ghosts or any kind of non-physical entities in the game that ordinary humans just wouldn't see. And I would have to write a scene early on in the childhood segment where she discovers this sense. I suppose that's all that I wanted to share right now, but I thought it might be interesting for some of you to learn that, writing a screenplay based on a video game like this isn't particularly easy. You can discover problems that you had never considered before. So yeah, that's all that I want to share, and it's 12:55 p.m. and that's it. Thanks for watching.